Guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about my recap of the 2024 American Health Information Management Association Global Conference. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder. Okay, guys, so this year's AHIMA 2024 Global Conference was in Salt Lake City, Utah. The thing that made this year very special for me personally was the fact that this was the first year I got to be one of the breakout session speakers. So I was very excited about that. I spoke about my most favorite topic, which is best practices for performing provider education. And it was a packed house. So I was very relieved and thrilled about that because you don't know who's going to show up to your sessions and who's going to be there and if they're going to like what you have to say and what's all is going to happen. I mean, this was a brand new experience for me totally. And attending it, so far at my facility, there had been nobody else to attend because this is at the beginning of the fiscal year, which the beginning of the fiscal year is in October. So this is when everybody's budgets reset and everything. So they didn't know if anybody was going to be able to attend. And usually in facilities, and you have to ask because in certain facilities, sometimes they have a bigger budget. Sometimes they don't know that they have a budget because no one's ever asked. So if you work for a hospital or another healthcare organization, and you might want to inquire to see if they have funds to send their people to national conferences. It doesn't necessarily have to be AHIMA, but any of the national conferences that would give their staff education. Okay, so it's one of the things that's really important. So I didn't know because everybody's like, well, we don't know if we can go. And so up until that point, to me getting there, I was like, okay, I'm here by myself, which is fine. I've gone to conference several times by myself. I do get to see other people that work in other parts of my organization. They come from different states. I do get to see them. So I know it's bound to run into somebody. But for the most part, I was there by myself. Well, of course, we had opening night, and opening night was great. We had the exhibit hall, and you got to walk around and things like that. I did see a few of the people that watch my channel, so that was really great. It was nice to see people in person and have that in-person energy, which is really great. We listened to Diana Nyad, who is a amazing, she's got an amazing story. Diana Nyad, she has her story about her swimming from Cuba to the United States. And she had attempted this 5 times. And this, the 5th time, she was 61 years old. And she was able to swim from Cuba to the United States. And anybody who knows anything about this passage of water knows that you have all of this water that's trying to go out into the Atlantic that's in the Gulf. And so this person is trying to swim north, and you've got this water that's pushing this way. Plus you have all of the changes in weather and everything that happen so very quickly in the water between those two land masses. So it was quite an adventure for her. But this tells me something else about the human spirit, is that you can do anything at any age, whatever you want to do. It's really all up to you. It's all up to your mind and how you look at things. And a lot of people were telling Diana Nyad that she was no longer a swimmer, that she had been away from swimming for a really long time. And, she was 61 years old. She shouldn't be trying to do this. Well, she was not going to let her age stop her. And she did it. She finally did it on the 5th try. And she faced a lot of dangers during this swim as well. Of course, she's got the jellyfish and everything out there. And she's just an incredible speaker. It was just nice to hear somebody else be so fired up about what they wanted to do. And that reminds me of my audience when I get people who are interested in medical coding and they say, well, Blue, I'm 45 and I don't know if I could do this. 45? Really? You don't know that you could do this? Diana Nyad swam from Cuba to the United States at age 61. Trust me, you could do anything. I have many people on my channel who have gone into medical coding long before I heard about Diana Nyad and her story. But I've had many people who say that they're in their late 50s, early 60s, and they get into this because I encourage them based on, you know, my story and my words and everything that I've experienced in my career of 16 years. And so it's nice to hear that from another field, you know, and that it is possible. Whatever it is that you want to do, it's just your mind that makes excuses if you are thinking that you can't do something that you really want to do, you know. And it was a very inspiring story. I love the fact that they got such a really good you know, speaker, and it was very motivational to us as the audience, and it was a nice way to start the conference. And like I said, I was there by myself, sitting by myself in the audience, you know, because I didn't know anybody else there other than the people who came up to me, you know, later on in the exhibit hall. So the exhibit hall was great the first night. I ran around, did a lot of things, and then of course I saw the Optum booth. So if you heard my video from last year about the recap, Optum had a very small booth last year, and I was very concerned. And of course, being the big fan of Optum that I am, this is not an ad for Optum, but being the big fan that I am of Optum, you know, I asked him, like, okay, what's going on? You know, you guys normally have the big, you know, booth, and you give away your books at the end of the conference. You know, what's happening? And he was like, well, you know, we need to get a new events planner on our team, and so this is all we could come up with. So, oh no. So seeing them with the big booth again this year was fantastic, and I will show you what I got from them when I do my video about the exhibit haul, all the goodies that I picked up. I will do that on a separate video. But just moving right along. The next day was Monday, so that was the day that I was speaking. And I'm not nervous. I'm just excited. You know, I'm excited and I'm thrilled about being able to share the things that I know. Whenever I speak about something that I enjoy, which is like coding or like teaching and things like that, it puts me on a different level. I don't get like the traditional nervous. I mean, obviously you get like that, you know, that feeling beforehand, and then when you're in it, it's just like you're just talking to friends. You know, that's how I look at it anyway. And I had a really good time. So the whole morning before I spoke in the afternoon, you know, I was just going to the different classes and things and listening to the different speakers, and then I had lunch. And lunch was where I met one of the ladies that works for my organization as well. She works for our same organization, and she's out in California. And so I met her, and her name is Rose. And so we started hanging out with each other, and we're talking and everything. And it's nice to make those connections. It's really great that I'm able to meet other people that work for my organization as well, and that, you know, I can make those connections, because as I've said in other videos, I have connections all over the world, literally all over the world, from Hawaii to all the way to Italy and Germany. All right, so it's nice to be able to build my network, and that's what you're doing when you're at conference, is you're building a network. And I did meet some people who were there by themselves. They didn't know anybody. They're not in the industry yet, but they wanted to attend, and they were able to meet other people. So even making those connections as you just like in passing and things like that, that's how you start to build your reputation. That's how you start to build your network. And it's very valuable, because you never know what skills you might have that could be beneficial to that person, or what skills that they have that may be beneficial to you. So it's all very, very important. So anyway, I'm hanging out with Rose, and me and Miss Rose are running around the exhibit hall, you know, after lunch, and we're collecting all these things from, you know, the different vendors and things. And trust me, I got a lot of really cute stuff. I can't wait to show. But she was like, oh, so you're one of the speakers? So I was telling her, yes, I'm one of the speakers. And she goes, okay, I'll be there to cheer you on. So now it's time for me to get ready to speak at my session. So I go over to my room, and they're not there yet to let us in. So I'm out there and I'm waiting, and I'm talking with some of the audience that's there, and I'm just getting some feedback from them. And then all of a sudden they let us in, and the moderator who they have, because my session was live streamed, they have a moderator who will watch like the internet comments and things like that, and they'll read those for you when you're standing up there, and they introduce you and things like that. So I met my moderator, another awesome lady, and she also works for my organization as well, in just a different area. And so I'm there thinking I don't have anybody from my facility there to see this, but lo and behold, I hear a "Hi, Blue." And then I look, and I actually did a double take, and it was my MRA. So it's my medical records administrator. So she's my boss. Like, she's like the boss up above me. Well, she would be my boss's boss. So my supervisor's boss, but she's still my boss anyway. And so I'm like, "What are you doing here?" And she was just like, "Surprise." And so she came over, gave me a hug, and she explained that they had approved her to go, but she wanted to surprise me. And it's like, "When did you get here?" She's like, "I was here yesterday." And I'm like, "Why didn't I see you?" But, there's so many people that, it was possible not to see everybody, So, but I was so relieved to see her. And it was such a nice thing because, yes, while I had rows in the audience, it was really nice to see somebody from my facility there, and such a friendly face. And she came over, gave me a hug, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I feel so much better." Not that I was really nervous or anything, but it's just nice that you can have somebody else from your facility to be able to witness you speaking. And so again, first time speaking, and it was great. Like, the whole session flowed really well. And I'm not one of those ones that sits there and reads from the slides, because they have like the slides that you can see in front of you, and like you have like a computer in front of you that you can look at. And I didn't realize this until the end, when I was clicking, and I happened to see the screen flipped, as I was clicking it. And I was just like, okay, well, I wasn't even paying attention to that, because I'm just looking at the audience, and I'm using the slides, which you should use the slides as this is additional information, or these are the points that we're going to be talking about. So I was explaining to them, all the things that were there on the slide and things like that. And of course, being as frank as I always am about, what to do, and some pointers and things for successful education practices, which these are all things that I have personally experienced as a coder coming up in this industry. And it's so very important. There are so many coders that are so scared just to even make that first connection. And they think that the provider is going to be the one to reach out or to make the connection or to ask the questions. They're never going to. It's going to be the very rare provider that will do that. Because again, not all providers will do that. They're going to be more concerned with, okay, how are they performing? And so again, I talked about that. And I did get some not email questions, but like questions from the virtual audience. And so they typed in questions, and they asked me like, what specialty do I code for? Even though I had already said it, I was like, orthopedics and podiatry is where I code for. So, but, excuse me. But it was nice to get that feedback from the audience. I got a lot of questions from the audience as well, in person. So I repeated their questions so that the people at home or that were attending virtually could hear me. And then after we released everybody, I had a whole line, like I had a long line of people waiting to talk to me, to shake my hand, to say that they watched the channel. And I got so many good feedbacks and things. And, I shook a lot of hands and stuff and was saying hello and thanking people for coming there. And I was really surprised to see like this huge line after the show. I was like, oh, this is awesome, So that was a really great experience. I loved the feedback, like the in-person feedback. I loved it. And I got a lot of really good feedback from other people when I was like going through the hallway, and they were like, oh my gosh, I saw you speak and you did so good. And I went over to, I was in the exhibit hall, and of course I'm doing like, okay, this is great, you know. And so I see people and they're looking at me like, I know that lady, you know, because either they watched the show or they saw me speak, and so they would come over and say hello. I went over to the Norwood booth, and this lady was really awesome. She was like, oh my gosh, I watched your, I attended your speech. And so, oh, thank you. And so she came running around, and she's like, it was so good. And I'm going to try some of those things, because, you know, she was explaining her situation. So it was really nice, and she was having me meet somebody else that she works with and calling them over, and so they could meet me. So it was really awesome to get that feedback and that excitement and the energy. And of course, it really invigorates you when you are, you know, in person and you're getting all of this. So it was really nice. It was so much fun. And excuse me, I attended some parties, which was a lot of fun. It's always nice to attend parties after conference lets out for the day. You can get yourself pretty much invited anywhere. You know, a lot of the people there, you know, already have things set up, and I already had my evenings scheduled. So I had plans already coming in, because of course I knew other people, but nobody from my facility until my MRA showed up. But I knew, like, and again, I had these plans to attend, so I had things to do in the evenings, and the time goes by really, really fast, and you are constantly on your feet. And like I said, it's not unusual to hit 15,000, 17,000, 20,000 steps in a day. It's not unusual. And while there were really close hotels, I stayed about, it was like a 6-minute walk from the conference center, which wasn't bad at all. You know, I've stayed further, but a 6-minute walk is not bad. But when I had gone to book my hotel, like all of the hotels right next door were already all booked up. So, but I had planned out months in advance. So maybe they had already, you know, reserved the rooms, but not, you know, they were not there, you know. So, but anyway, it was still a good deal, you know, where I stayed. It was a very nice hotel, and it was just within like really short walking distance. The weather was awesome, but I will say that I am an asthmatic, so being in a higher elevation really did kind of mess with me, and it was very dry. Like, the air is very dry out there in Salt Lake, and I'm not used to that. I'm used to humidity, and there was no humidity there, and it was a little chilly, but not too bad. There was snow, but they're cold up there in Salt Lake. It was like 52 one day, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, it's gonna be so cold. But when I got out there, it felt like a really good 52. Like, it, to me, it would feel like what 74 would feel like here in Texas. And so I was just like, wow, this feels like really good for 52, because like at home, 52, I'd be freaking freezing to death, you know. So but that wasn't the case up there. But again, the air was very different, and I did notice a difference in myself. And so as far as like my breathing and things, and so it really does affect you if you are going up higher in elevation. So if you have an asthma issue, just make sure that you're aware of that when you are attending these conferences. I have been to Salt Lake before, but never outside of the airport. So that may have had something to do with it, but it was still really nice. Salt Lake is very clean. That is the cleanest city outside of Chicago. Now, I've been to Chicago before. Chicago is very clean as well, but Salt Lake was really clean. I mean, the air was crisp. The streets were clean. You could really tell, like, the city's infrastructure is really set up for like people who bike and people who walk, because there's like actual lanes for bikers and walkers and things like that. And it's like the sidewalks are really big and stuff. So I was like really impressed with just how beautiful it was there. I mean, it was just gorgeous. And of course, the people were very friendly, really nice people. I mean, they're like really nice people. Like people say Texas people are very friendly. Those people are very friendly as well in Salt Lake. So I was very impressed. But let's see, what else? We heard from Scott Hamilton, who was the Olympian. He told his incredible story on the closing night, and it was really awesome to hear him speak as well. He has an incredible story, and his story actually did make me cry. I'm sitting there like in the audience like bawling because his story was very touching, you know. And so, but it was a packed house like the whole night, and just meeting so many wonderful people and just having those connections made, those new connections. It was just really nice. It was a really nice thing. And let's see, I wanted to say that if you are interested in attending conference next year is going to be in Minnesota. I know, Minnesota, in October, Minnesota, but it is a worthwhile experience. Okay, now if you plan it out, it's going to run you just ballpark. And this is just an estimated average $1,800 to attend conference if you are paying out of pocket. And this is like for the ticket, for the airfare, for the hotel. You do not have to rent a car when you go to conference. You can literally get a Uber or a Lyft. I hire a car service to take me from the airport to the hotel. Always. I always do that because it's just me, and that's just the way that I do things. Okay, I'll walk or I'll take the car service, and it's totally fine. And there's just different, because you never know what you're gonna get with like a ride share. So that's why I just always like to have stuff planned out. But if it's $1,800 if you're gonna attend conference out of pocket, if you have to pay for the whole thing. Now, like I said, sometimes facilities do have money set aside for their people to attend conference. You just have to ask. And if you don't ask, like my Uncle Kyle says, a closed mouth does not get fed, okay? So with that said, you have to make sure that you are looking at all these avenues where you can make it possible. Because I know some of you are going to hear, oh, it's $1,800. I can't afford that. But you can't afford not to afford that. As far as like, you have to make a way. These conferences, you can get so much out of them. Not just like, you know, what you get in the exhibit hall, but you know, AHIMA has their career area set up where you can get free headshots as far as like your professional photos taken. You know, those professional photos being taken right there and given for free, that is a really awesome benefit because headshots are expensive. Trust me, I know. I invested quite a bit of money to get my professional headshots done. Now, I will say this. You can't just go to anybody, okay? Because I tried to go to JCPenney and that was a no-go for me. So I had to end up spending money for a headshot, for a few headshots. But you know, there at AHIMA, you can go and be dressed nicely and you can get a headshot for free. And you can put that on your LinkedIn profile. Now, I have seen so many people on their LinkedIn profile say, oh, I'm a new coder, I'm a coding student. And then they're complaining and crying because they can't get a job. No one wants to hire them. And they have a funky picture that's all kinds of crazy ways. No. You have to set yourself up for success. This is a professional field, okay, where you have to have continuing education units and all of these things. So being able to have a really nice, clean headshot of yourself, professionally done, and like I said, you could get this when you attend the AHIMA conference for free, that's just an added benefit. Not only that, you can bring your resume, and in their career booth, they can look at it for you and tell you what's wrong with it, you know, maybe some suggestions on how to make it better. They also had a interview clinic where, as far as like you can practice your interview skills and things like that. These are very important because when you are trying to find your first job in medical coding, everybody talks about how difficult it is. But all of these things can be mitigated by doing your research and taking advantage of things like this that are set up to help you. Okay. And not only that, there's tons of other things and discounts that you can get for books and anything else that you're looking for. HC Pro, I will get into the HC Pro booth too. But they had their booth set up, and there's a lot of really great discounts that they give you when you're at conference, not just HC Pro, but like other booths and things like that for their books and things. So it's just one of the other benefits of attending this conference. And not only that, like I said, meeting new people and just being able to get that, like those connections set up. And if you have your business card, you don't have a business card, it's okay. Apparently there's a QR code you can get, and it has all of your information. There were several people that had that set up, and I was able to make connections that way. I don't have that, but everybody knows how to get a hold of me because I'm on YouTube and Instagram and LinkedIn and all kinds of things. So people have ways of getting a hold of me. But other people had their phones set up with their business cards, and these are like free to set up. So, again, lots of really good benefits. And if you want to attend next year, like I said, make it a goal and start saving that money. And if you save, think about this, if you save $200 a month for 9 months, that's $1,800 that you'll have just like that to attend conference. And they're constantly feeding you, so you don't have to really worry about like, oh my gosh, I have to buy breakfast, lunch, and dinner. No, you have breakfast and lunch there at the conference center, which they pay for. Like AHIMA had that. They had breakfast, they had lunch all the days that they were there. And then of course you go to these parties that you can get yourself invited to, and you have free dinner. I mean, it's just really awesome. All of the benefits that you can get just from attending conference. And it is a very fast 3 days because it's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then you can leave on Wednesday morning. And it is totally worth it to go to this conference. And you get your CEUs if you are, a credential holder already. If you're not, this is not going to count. Any CEUs that you collect will not count until after you get your certification. But again, it's still really great to start building those connections with people and finding good resources to help you. And even though you think, well, this doesn't really apply to me right now, you never know when you will need those skills and how it will apply. So that's just another benefit of attending conference. But it is totally worth it. There are scholarships out there. Don't ask me, guys, because I will not answer you. There are scholarships out there, though, that will help you to have money to be able to attend professional conferences. If you are involved in like the National Society of Leadership and Success, they have access to hundreds of thousands of scholarships, and attending professional conferences is a few of those. And they say you can use that money for. So there's resources out there, guys. You just have to let your fingers do the walking. You don't know what you don't know, but I'm telling you now, there are scholarships out there to help you to be able to pay for these conference tickets, okay? So that's one of those things that you can look at as an alternative to helping you pay for this trip. And if your facility says, oh no, we don't pay for that, you can always ask them, okay, if you don't want to pay for this, can you at least give me administrative leave so that I can attend? Because this is for continuing education units, is to help me to learn and things like that. Because the more educated you are coming back to your facility, the better off you'll be. Every single year that I have gone to conference, I've always paid out of pocket. Now, I have always looked at it as an investment, and it's always done me very well. I'm a very strong coder because of it. I'm just saying. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up because it's getting kind of long. But these conferences are so much fun. It is totally worth it. You get out of this career what you put into it. If you are not willing to put anything into it, if you want everything handed to you, if you want everything spoon-fed to you, that's where you're going to lose out. It's the people who do their research. And I will do research as far as like, okay, how can I get the cheapest ticket? And what do I need to do to like stay at a good place and get the best deal? And how can I use points? And how can I do this? And how can I do that? How can I bring my cost down? Because this is coming out of my pocket. I'm just saying. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Thank you guys so much for joining me. If this video helped you, or if you enjoyed it, please like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.